The afternoon sun cast long shadows across Lincoln High School's parking lot as 16-year-old Marcus Chen finished his last route of the day. As a part-time school bus driver, one of the youngest in the district, he took his job seriously. Every afternoon, he drove Route 7, dropping off elementary and middle school kids at their stops throughout the suburban neighborhoods. Today was Friday, and Marcus was looking forward to his weekend plans with friends. He parked the yellow bus in the depot, gathered his backpack, and was about to step off when he heard it, a small sound, almost like a whimper, coming from the back of the bus. Marcus froze. He had checked every seat. He always did. The safety protocol was drilled into him: walk the entire bus, check under seats, look for forgotten items. He'd done exactly that 5 minutes ago. The bus was empty. Or so he thought. From which city in the world are you watching this story unfold today? If tales of unexpected responsibility and young heroes resonate with you, consider subscribing for more stories where ordinary teenagers face extraordinary situations. Marcus slowly walked down the aisle, his sneakers squeaking on the rubberized floor. As he reached the second-to-last row, his heart stopped. Curled up in the corner, partially hidden by a backpack, was a small boy, maybe 4 years old, with dark curly hair and bright blue eyes that weren't looking at Marcus at all. The child was rocking back and forth, making a soft humming sound, completely absorbed in tracing invisible patterns on the window with his finger. "Hey buddy," Marcus said gently, crouching down to the child's level. The boy didn't respond. Didn't even seem to notice Marcus was there. "Can you tell me your name?" "Nothing." The child continued his rocking motion, his humming growing slightly louder. Marcus's mind raced. This was bad. Really bad. How had he missed a whole child during his check? More importantly, how had this kid gotten on his bus in the first place? Route 7 only served grades 1 to 8, and this child looked too young for kindergarten. Marcus pulled out his phone and opened his route roster, a list of every child authorized to ride his bus. He scrolled through 32 names, checking pickup and drop-off locations. None of them were 4 years old. In fact, the youngest on his route was 6. The boy suddenly let out a high-pitched sound, not quite a scream, but sharp enough to make Marcus jump. The child's hands moved to his ears, covering them tightly as he rocked faster. Marcus recognized the behavior. His cousin Jamie had autism, and this looked similar to what she did when she was overwhelmed. Okay, Marcus said softly, backing up slightly to give the child space. "It's okay. I'm not going to hurt you. Let's just figure out who you are." He tried the gentle approach. "Are you looking for your mom?" "Your dad." The boy's rocking slowed slightly, but he still didn't make eye contact or speak. Marcus checked his watch, 4:47 p.m. The depot would close at 6 o'clock, and he needed to report this immediately. He called his supervisor, Ms. Patterson, trying to keep his voice calm. "Ms. Patterson, we have a situation. There's a child on my bus, a really young child, and he's not on my roster. I don't know how he got here." There was a pause. "Marcus, are you saying you didn't check your bus properly?" "No, ma'am, I did check. I swear I did. He must have been really well hidden, or I don't know. But he's here now, and I don't know who he belongs to." Another pause. "Does he have a backpack? Any identification?" Marcus looked around the child. There was indeed a small dinosaur backpack, but when Marcus carefully opened it, he found only a change of clothes, a sippy cup, and a worn stuffed elephant. No name tag. No emergency contact information. Nothing. "Nothing useful," Marcus reported. "And Ms. Patterson? I think he might be autistic or something. He won't talk to me or look at me." Ms. Patterson's voice became more serious. "Don't leave that bus. I'm calling the school office and the police. They'll figure out who he belongs to. Stay with him and keep him calm." For the next 20 minutes, Marcus sat 3 rows ahead of the child, occasionally glancing back to make sure he was okay. The boy had stopped rocking and was now carefully arranging 4 small toys from his pocket in a specific pattern on the seat, lining them up, then moving them slightly, then lining them up again. It was methodical, almost ritualistic. The police arrived first, Officer Janet Rodriguez and her partner, Officer Mike Thompson. They approached the bus carefully, and Marcus explained everything that had happened. Officer Rodriguez tried to talk to the child, but got the same non-response Marcus had received. "What's strange," Officer Thompson said, looking at his tablet, "is that we haven't received any reports of a missing child matching this description. Usually, by this time of day, if a kid doesn't get off the bus at home, parents are calling within 30 minutes. Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. So nobody's looking for him? "Let's not jump to conclusions," Officer Rodriguez said gently. "Ms. Patterson is checking with all the schools in the district to see if anyone reported a missing student." 30 minutes passed. Then an hour. The school principals checked their attendance records. No missing children matched the description. The police expanded their search to neighboring districts. Nothing. Ms. Patterson arrived at the depot, along with a child psychologist named Dr. Sarah Kim who volunteered with the school district. Dr. Kim observed the child from a distance first, then slowly approached the bus. "May I?" she asked Marcus, who nodded and stepped aside. Dr. Kim sat down several rows away from the boy, not trying to engage him directly. She pulled out her phone and started playing soft, repetitive music, the kind with simple patterns. The boy's head tilted slightly. Not much, but it was a response. After a few minutes, Dr. Kim moved 1 row closer. The boy didn't react negatively, so she moved closer again. This process took almost 20 minutes, but eventually, Dr. Kim was sitting across the aisle from him. "He's definitely on the autism spectrum," Dr. Kim said quietly to the others standing outside the bus. "Nonverbal, I think. He's not going to tell us his name or where he lives. We need to find another way." Marcus had been thinking about this. What if we retrace the entire route? Maybe someone will recognize him when they see him. It wasn't a perfect plan, but it was something. Officer Rodriguez agreed, and they made an unusual convoy, the school bus with Marcus driving, Dr. Kim sitting with the child, and 2 police cars following. Marcus drove his entire route backward, stopping at every single bus stop. At each one, the officers showed a photo of the child to anyone around, asking if they recognized him, if they'd seen him getting on a bus that morning. Nothing. Nobody knew him. It was as if the child had appeared out of nowhere. By 7 p.m., they were back at the depot. The child had remained calm throughout the journey, seemingly content with Dr. Kim's presence and the repetitive patterns she was showing him on her tablet. But as the sun began to set, a new problem emerged: where would the child sleep tonight? "We can't just put him in the system," Marcus said, his voice passionate. "He's already scared and confused. Putting him in a strange place with strange people, that could be really bad for him." Officer Rodriguez looked at Marcus with new respect. "You're right. But we also can't just let him stay on this bus all night." Dr. Kim had an idea. "What if he stays with me? I'm certified for emergency foster care, and I specialize in autism. At least for tonight, until we figure out who he is." Everyone agreed this was the best temporary solution. As Dr. Kim prepared to leave with the child, Marcus found himself reluctant to see them go. He'd been with this kid for hours now, and despite the lack of communication, he felt responsible for him. Can I come check on him tomorrow?" Marcus asked Dr. Kim. She smiled warmly. "I think he'd like that. You've been his constant today. That matters." As the child was carefully transferred to Dr. Kim's car, a process that took another 15 minutes because he didn't want to leave the bus, Marcus noticed something. The boy looked back at him. Just for a second, their eyes met. It wasn't much, but it was acknowledgement. That night, Marcus couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about that little boy, alone in the world, with nobody looking for him. How was that even possible? The next morning, Marcus showed up at Dr. Kim's house at 8 a.m. She welcomed him in, explaining that the child had slept well but hadn't eaten much breakfast. "He's in the living room," she said. "I've been trying different ways to communicate. Look at this." She showed Marcus a simple picture board, images of food, bathroom, toys, etc. Sometimes nonverbal children can point to what they need. But he hasn't engaged with it yet. Marcus walked into the living room and found the boy sitting on the floor, arranging Dr. Kim's books in a very specific pattern by size and color. When Marcus sat down nearby, not too close, respecting the child's space, the boy paused for just a moment before continuing his arrangement. "Hey buddy," Marcus said softly. "Remember me? From the bus?" No response, but Marcus thought maybe the boy's shoulders relaxed slightly. Marcus pulled out his phone and opened a simple drawing app. He drew a yellow school bus. The boy's hands stopped moving. Slowly, very slowly, the child looked at Marcus's phone screen. Then, in a movement so quick Marcus almost missed it, the boy pointed at the bus picture. "You remember the bus?" Marcus asked gently. The child's hand moved to his pocket, pulling out one of the small toys from yesterday, a tiny yellow bus, no bigger than a matchbox car. He held it up, comparing it to the picture on Marcus's phone. Dr. Kim appeared in the doorway, her eyes wide. "That's the most engagement he's shown since he got here," she whispered. Marcus spent the next hour sitting with the child, slowly building a sort of communication through pictures and simple gestures. It wasn't conversation, but it was something. Meanwhile, Officer Rodriguez called with news. "We've expanded our search statewide," she said. "And Marcus? We found something. There was a major traffic accident on Interstate 40 yesterday morning, a multi-car pileup. 3 people were hospitalized. One of them was a woman named Catherine Miller. She's been in a coma since yesterday. And Marcus? Hospital records show she has a 4-year-old son. Named Lucas. The description matches." Marcus felt his stomach drop. So his mom is in the hospital, and nobody knew he was missing? "It gets more complicated," Officer Rodriguez continued. "Catherine Miller is a single mother. No other family listed. And here's the really strange part, there's no record of Lucas being enrolled in any school. Not in our district. Not anywhere. It's like he doesn't exist in the system." Dr. Kim was already making calls, trying to understand how a child could be so completely off the grid. What they discovered over the next few hours was heartbreaking. Catherine Miller had been homeschooling Lucas because his autism made traditional school environments overwhelming. She didn't have family nearby and apparently didn't trust the foster system. So she'd kept their lives very private, very small. Yesterday morning, desperate and overwhelmed, she'd apparently made a dangerous decision. She'd put Lucas on a school bus, any school bus, hoping someone would notice him and get him help. Then she'd gotten in her car and driven straight into traffic. It wasn't an accident. It was a cry for help that had gone horribly wrong. When they visited Catherine in the hospital that afternoon, she was awake but barely coherent. When she saw Lucas, whom Dr. Kim had brought at the doctor's suggestion, her eyes filled with tears. "I couldn't do it anymore," she whispered. "I couldn't take care of him the way he needed. I thought if I put him on a bus, someone would find him. Someone better than me. Someone who could actually help him." Marcus stood in the corner of the hospital room, watching this scene unfold. He felt anger, confusion, but also an unexpected surge of compassion. This was a mother who loved her son so much that she thought abandoning him was the kindest thing she could do. She was wrong, but she was also desperate. Over the next weeks, as Catherine slowly recovered in the hospital, a support system was built around her and Lucas that should have been there all along. Dr. Kim connected them with autism specialists, parent support groups, and respite care providers. The school district established a special education plan for Lucas. Child Protective Services got involved, but not to take Lucas away. Instead, they helped Catherine access the resources she desperately needed. And Marcus? He became an unexpected part of Lucas's life. Every weekend, he visited, spending time with the little boy who had appeared on his bus that Friday afternoon. Slowly, over months, Lucas began to emerge from his shell. He never became fully verbal, but he found other ways to communicate. And he always lit up when he saw Marcus. 6 months after that fateful day, Marcus sat in Dr. Kim's office for a follow-up meeting. Catherine was there too, looking healthier and more hopeful than she had in years. "I want to thank you," Catherine said to Marcus, her voice strong now. "You could have just handed Lucas off to the first official person you saw. But you stayed with him. You cared about what happened to him. That made all the difference." Marcus shook his head. "I just did what anyone would do." "No," Dr. Kim interjected gently. "You did what very few people would do. You saw a child in need and you refused to look away, even when it would have been easier. That's not common. That's extraordinary." As Marcus left the office that day, he thought about how one unexpected moment, finding a child on his bus, had changed everything. Not just for Lucas and Catherine, but for him too. He'd learned that sometimes the most important thing you can do is simply stay. Stay when it's inconvenient. Stay when you don't have all the answers. Stay when no one else is there. Because sometimes, staying is exactly what saves a life. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you could have walked away, but something made you stay? Marcus Chen was just trying to finish his shift on a Friday afternoon. But when he found a child who wasn't supposed to be there, a child nobody was looking for, he made a choice that changed 2 lives forever. Sometimes the smallest acts of responsibility become the biggest acts of heroism. And sometimes, the children we save end up saving us right back.